How many times did you pick up your vape today? And how many times did you just think about picking it up? Maybe you felt a strong urge and had to hold back because you were in a place where you couldn't use it. While you worry about what vaping might do to your lungs, something quieter is happening a few centimeters above them in the place where you make decisions and feel pleasure. It's happening in your brain, and most people don't notice it. In the last few years, millions of people started vaping and heard the same message. It's safer than smoking, it's harm reduction, it's modern technology. There's some truth here if we talk about tar and carbon monoxide, because e-cigarettes don't burn tobacco. But this message hides the real issue. A vape is a nicotine delivery device built with precision for one goal: to keep you using it. Many people who vape never smoke cigarettes. When researchers look at brain scans of people who use nicotine and compare them with people who use other addictive substances, the same reward areas light up. The reward system is the network in your brain that drives motivation and learning. That's why I want to show you 3 things happening in your brain right now. First, how vaping hijacks your reward system. Second, why you might feel more unmotivated, bored and empty, and how that links to the device in your pocket. Third, the invisible cycle that keeps you hooked even after you decide to stop. Let's start with the hijack. We need to talk about dopamine. Dopamine is a chemical messenger that nerve cells use to talk to each other. In simple terms, dopamine helps create motivation, anticipation, and drive. It tells your brain, let's go after this. It evolved to push you to seek food when you're hungry, warmth when you're cold, and connection when you feel alone. Your brain built this system over millions of years with very careful calibration. Vaping breaks that calibration, and it does it in seconds. When you inhale, nicotine enters your lungs, passes into your blood, and reaches your brain in under 10 seconds. For comparison, even drugs injected into a vein can take a similar amount of time. When nicotine arrives, it binds to special receptors on your nerve cells, triggering a sharp rise in dopamine, far above normal levels. Here's the problem. Your brain isn't built to handle very high peaks of dopamine that arrive very fast, over and over. Natural rewards work differently. When you exercise, eat a good meal, or have an interesting conversation, dopamine rises slowly, stays up for a while, and then goes down gently. Your brain reads that as, this was good, worth doing again. Vaping creates a spike that looks like a vertical climb and a steep fall, like a roller coaster. Your brain doesn't know what to do with that, so it adapts. That adaptation is called downregulation. Downregulation means your brain reduces the number or sensitivity of dopamine receptors to protect itself. This works as a defense, but it has a side effect. With fewer working receptors, normal life rewards feel weaker. The music you loved, the hobby that used to excite you, now feels flat. When the nicotine effect fades and the spike drops, your dopamine level falls below your old baseline. That's when the urge hits. You take another puff not to feel great, but just to feel normal for a moment. Without the vape, everything sits a few degrees below the level that used to feel satisfying. You might think this happens with any addictive thing. So why is vaping different? The answer is design. Vapes were built to deliver nicotine in a way that makes it hard for your brain to self-regulate. The industry solved 3 problems at once: increase concentration, remove the body's warning signs, and remove natural stopping points. First, concentration. A vape pod can hold much higher nicotine levels than a single cigarette. On its own, that would cause harsh irritation. Nicotine in its freebase form is alkaline, which feels rough on the throat. That roughness is your body's alarm. Nicotine salt is nicotine combined with an acid to lower the pH, which makes the vapor feel smooth. With nicotine salt, you can inhale doses that would normally make you cough for minutes. The body's defense signal is chemically muted. Second, stopping points. A cigarette has built-in markers that tell you it's over. The paper burns down, ash falls, the butt gets small. Your brain registers an end to the episode. Vapes remove all these cues. No burning, no ash, no shrinking butt. You take a puff, put it in your pocket, and take another puff 20 minutes later. Your brain never completes the cycle of start, finish, wait. This changes your pattern of use. A cigarette smoker might have 10 to 15 smoking episodes per day. A person who vapes might take dozens of tiny puffs spread across the entire day. These are constant micro-uses. 2 puffs waiting for the elevator, 1 puff while reading a message. Because the device has no clear unit, you can't count easily. A pack of cigarettes is a unit you can see. A pod lasts for days. There's no mental accounting. Without that, self-regulation becomes almost impossible. Third, social markers. Traditional addictions often have visible signs. Vaping often leaves no smell and little trace. You can use it secretly. No one notices, including you. So your brain is hijacked, your capacity to feel pleasure is reduced, you're taking doses you can't count, and there's no social feedback to warn you. Now let's talk about the symptoms you may be feeling, but haven't linked to vaping. Be honest with yourself. Do the things that used to excite you now feel dull? Do you feel irritability that appears out of nowhere? Do you feel like you're on autopilot? If yes, there's a scientific name for this. It's called anhedonia. It means a reduced ability to feel pleasure. It's not sadness. It's more like someone turned down the color saturation of your life. This is a direct result of dopamine receptor downregulation. There are often other symptoms too. Trouble concentrating, a mental fog, chronic procrastination, and low mental energy. Socially, you might prefer to be alone because interaction feels like too much effort. Why do most people not connect these symptoms to vaping? First, because there are no obvious external markers. Second, vaping is seen as safer, so you don't question it. Third, vaping creates a cycle that hides the very symptoms it causes. Here's how that cycle works. You feel empty and low on motivation. These are withdrawal symptoms. You take a puff. Nicotine gives you a fast artificial dopamine rise, and you feel temporary relief. You feel normal again. But what you're feeling is the brief removal of withdrawal symptoms you didn't realize you had. When the effect fades, you drop back to low dopamine, often a little lower than before. You feel more empty, more irritable, more unmotivated, and you take another puff. The vape becomes both the problem and the short-term relief. You wrongly learn that the vape is the solution, not the cause. Even when you understand all this and decide to stop, it's still very hard. You're not just fighting a habit. You're fighting a system designed to be unbreakable. With vaping, the pattern shifts to compulsive microdosing. Each tiny use feels trivial, but what matters to the brain is total exposure over time. You live in a constant state of almost withdrawal, a vague restlessness. You take a puff, the feeling fades, and you think, now I'm relaxed. You don't notice you just treated withdrawal. When you stop, your brain needs time to rebuild. Those dopamine receptors don't rebound in a week. It often takes weeks to several months. During this time, your pleasure hardware is under repair. Food has less flavor. Music hits less deeply. Not because the world changed, but because your reward system is in maintenance. Willpower alone is often not enough. Your brain, hungry for dopamine, will argue that 1 puff will fix everything. But this isn't hopeless. Understanding the system is the first step. Your brain has neuroplasticity, which means it can change and recover. The early weeks are the hardest. That's why building strategies matters. Make your environment help you. Remove devices and pods. Add friction to access so you can't use on autopilot. Replace the motor habit. When you feel the urge, sip cold water or chew gum. Use a simple delay rule. Wait 10 minutes and do another activity. Track your urges and wins. This makes the invisible cycle visible. Support your brain's chemistry in healthy ways. Move your body daily. Exercise raises dopamine naturally. Get morning light and keep a regular sleep schedule. Eat enough protein. Limit sugar and processed snacks. And ask for help. Tell a friend what you're doing. Join a support group or talk with a healthcare professional who understands nicotine dependence. They can explain options that reduce cravings while your brain recovers. If someone you care about vapes and has become more irritable or less motivated, share this message with them. They may be living through exactly what you just learned, without knowing the connection. Knowledge doesn't force change, but it makes a conscious choice possible. Thanks for watching.